Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jens Svoboda, and today I would like to tell you about my personal DevOps journey. And first of all, I would like to thank you for actually coming to my session today. I know it's been long 2 days, and most of you are probably tired and full of information, but I really appreciate it that you are here. I hope this will be interesting for you. So let me first introduce myself a little bit. And so I work for Pivotal since 2016. I'm a platform architect. I'm based in Munich in Germany. And I've been working with a lot of large customers in Central Europe with implementing a Pivotal platform last 3 years. So I have a lot of experience from that. Then before Pivotal, actually, I worked for IBM for 5 years. And I work with a lot of customers, large customers around Europe, with implementing DevOps pipelines, automation, and CI/CD tools. And before I worked for HP, I work in R&D, where I actually learned coding and learned Java, Spring. And we have developed a tool for SOA management. So this is a little bit my introduction. And why I'm here today, what I would like to tell you. So in the last 10 years, I've been fortunate that I've been working with a lot of very large companies and helping them to understand DevOps practices and help them to implement the DevOps practices. And I have learned a lot from a lot of great people, from a lot of architects, from a lot of organizations. And I would like to share what I have learned in past 10 years. So I would like to share it with you today in the next 30 minutes. So that's why I'm here today. And I would like to start with explaining a little bit of the basics, how I understand DevOps and what I think that DevOps is about. So let me start with really the basic things. So the DevOps lately has been like really abused term, and people call many things DevOps, and sometimes I make jokes about it. So the way I understand DevOps strategy is actually about how do you go from the initial idea to the finished product. And then how do you provide feedback to the initial idea, and then how you can develop the product and improve it again. So this is my basic understanding, what everything that falls into improving this is what I call a DevOps strategy. And many times what I do what we call the value stream analysis or value stream assessments that I discuss with the clients, if they want to implement DevOps, what is their goal? What they want to improve? They want to make the line shorter, or they want to improve the quality. They want to do it better, or they want to increase the throughput of the line. So what do they actually understand by implementing the goal of the DevOps? Because many times I feel that this is the key of understanding what really you want to do. So, with implementing the DevOps, there are three main areas: people, process, technology that you all know about. And I'm a technology person. I love technology, but I have to admit that people and process are always people first, then process, and then technology. And sometimes we tend to forget about it, and we concentrate on technology, and we forgot about people. So I would like to tell you some experience about it as well. So this is a nice analogy that I learned a couple of years ago about that a lot of people in a large organizations are the similar what I call the boiled frogs analogy. And the way that you boil frogs is actually you put them in a cold water, you boil them slowly, and they don't jump out because they are used to it. But so this is similar to a lot of people that I work with in large organizations. They have been there for 10, 20 years. They are working on the same problem or in the same department, and they are very resistant to change, and they are afraid of doing anything new. And it has been sometimes very critical, but also very, very difficult to change them, to motivate them to try something new. So one of the examples would be that last year I was doing a workshop for Pivotal Platform, and with the guys, they were developing mainframe applications for a long time. And they told me, Jan, this is nice what you are showing to us, but we have been working our way for the last 10 years and we don't need any of this. Why would we need this? And then when I asked them about details, basically what I found out that they have a fear, they are scared of the new things because they don't understand it, and suddenly somebody asked them to work with these new technologies and they don't know what is behind it. So it's really important to talk to people, understand their mindset, and try to explain them what are you trying to achieve. So what we do at Pivotal, sometimes we bring the customers to our Pivotal labs, and we let the customer pair with our engineers, and they work on some project together. So they work from our engineers, the new way of the working, the new technology platforms and so on. So if you do it for, usually we do these projects for 4 to 6 weeks, and then when they come back, they hopefully bring the knowledge with them, and they will keep the knowledge within their organization. But working with the people is the key for implementing successful DevOps strategy. The second thing I want to mention is process. So many times when I do the value stream assessments about about implementing some new technology, people tell me, yeah, the technology is nice, we have a lot of new technology in-house, but we need to fix the process first. So what is the technology good for if we still need to file a ticket if we want to change the firewall and we need to wait 2 days to somebody to improve, to approve it. So, it's what I found out. It's always necessary to fix the process as well as the technology. And I don't know if you heard about the Conway's law, but this is actually from 1968, when this guy said that the systems that you are designing are a copy of the organizational structure. So basically what it means that if you have a complex organization structure, you are very likely to produce complex systems. And this is true. So I will also talk about implementing the processes as part of the DevOps later. But it needs to go hand in hand with technology. So let me look a little bit closer in a technology. And implementing the DevOps strategies with the technology, I found that the companies usually have the tools that are in these 3 layers. So on the bottom, you have what I call the infrastructure layer. And in this infrastructure layer, this is where your application is running, and this is the most complex layer. Then you have what I call automation layer, and this is the layer where you have all the tools that are needed to help you to automate the infrastructure. And on the top, you have what I call the management layer. And this layer is the layer of the tools that help you to organize the software development process in your organization. So this is typical what I see in organizations implementing the DevOps. And if I go a little bit into the detail of the top layer of the management layer, this is what I work on a lot about 10 years ago at IBM. Was one of my first projects that we were helping some large organizations to implement the process using some tools, using some change management tools. And we thought we are so smart, we're going to design some process that the developers are going to follow, and it will help them to guide them through the development process. But it was really counterproductive, because what we realized that the process that we implemented in these tools, it's actually not helping the developers, but it's blocking them to be more creative, and it's blocking them to do new things. So they, what happened is actually they started, reporting a lot of fake data, and then the company was, getting really fake reports. So what we found out that all the effort we did, and this was a one-year project, that it didn't make any sense. So what I'm fan of is actually making this layer as lean as possible and not repeat the same information in multiple tools. So this is what I see today is still happening. So if I look at the automation layer, This is the layer that I work a lot in IBM as well, where we basically, because the infrastructure is usually so complex that everybody is afraid to touch it. So instead of modifying the infrastructure layer, people tend to invest heavily in the automation layer. So I've been on a lot of projects when we brought a lot of tools, commercial open source tools, and we really try heavily to automate the infrastructure layer. And what I have found out that many times we have spent a huge amount of effort automating something that will become obsolete next month. So my advice would be to, yes, automation is important, but try to use automation that already exists, that somebody developed, or try to use the automation that is provided by the infrastructure, by the platforms that you have. And don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do something new, because it might be fun for you, but think about it that somebody have to support it for a long time. And this is what many people forget. So when we now get to the infrastructure layer, so this is the layer that I'm working on in Pivotal in the last 3 years, basically helping large organizations to change this layer. And this is the most complex thing, because we are fortunate to talk and have the latest platforms that support the container runtimes and application runtimes and all the microservices fun. But this is usually 5-10% in large organizations, and the rest of the application workloads are still running on physical hardware, on virtual machines. So we are still working on a very, very small percentage, small part, and there is still a lot of things that we need to do. So, and the reason for this is because it's touching the infrastructure layer is usually very complicated and very complex. One of the reasons is that actually you have a lot of snowflake environments and you have a lot of snowflake architectures. So what I've realized in my experience, it's much more difficult to migrate to something new that I was expecting. And the last thing is here that what I see that a lot of companies have super strict security and compliance models that they have been used to having for a long time, and now you are coming with a new infrastructure, and the new infrastructure sometimes has to follow the rules that are a little bit outdated, and everybody is afraid to break the new rules or to see how the new platforms are going to support the old rules. So touching the infrastructure layer can be quite difficult. So things what I learned and what I believe should be fixed is when you are implementing platforms. So, and this is what I have discussed before. You need to fix the mindset of the people and the process at the same time as technology. And it's easy to say it like this, but it's super difficult. And I have seen organizations who during DevOps implementations they had to work with HR, they have to provide the trainings, they have to really explain people why they need to change, where they need to adopt the new technologies, and that's difficult. And designing the process, it's not easiest thing as well, because sometimes people fear that somebody's going to take away their job with the new automation, and sometimes they would need to learn something new. So, but to really successful DevOps strategy, you need to do this as the whole thing. So the second most important thing is the modernizing of your application architecture. So there is now a lot of nice technologies to help you to run your applications, but to fully utilize the technology, your application architecture must support it. So it really doesn't make sense if you take your old application and you throw it on a brand new cloud-based infrastructure, because you will not utilize it fully. So I'm always making a joke. It's like building the new superhighway and then you are riding it on your bicycle. So yes, you will be able to ride your bicycle on a highway, but you're not using the full potential. And migrating the applications to new architectures, it's really interesting challenge as well. And we have been doing quite a lot this activity in Pivotal. The next thing I want to highlight is actually about understanding what are you going to achieve. So you can see on this picture is actually a screenshot of some mind map I created some time ago, and I was helping a customer to decide what are your goals, what are you want to achieve. You want to improve the quality, you want to improve the speed, you want to mitigate the risk. And they always say, no, not always, but usually the customers say, I want to do it all. I say, sure, but we need to start with something. You need to have some priority. And before, a couple years ago, the priority was the stability. But I think it has been changing a little bit, and now the priority is the speed. So I see the companies are willing to sacrifice some of the stability, and they are realizing the speed is really the most important thing, but really depends on the customer. But what I want to highlight here is it's really, really important that you understand, what are you going to do and what is your goal. And the best thing is if you are able to measure it. So if you are able to basically, typical what you can measure today is time to production. So how many days it takes you, from the code change to production. And then you implement some new tool, and then you can measure it again, and you can see the improvement. So there are, a lot of metrics now that you can, what you can do, and it's always nice to, have the baseline to really understand your improvements, and then to evaluate your investments if it makes sense or not. The last thing I want to highlight here is actually that usually some big bang strategies, what I have seen, they didn't work out. And I always like to, start doing something small and see how this will evolve, and then, expand it and grow fast and learn from it. So this is what I call continuous learning, because it's changing, everything is changing so fast, and and the organizations are huge. So if you prepare some huge strategy for the future, how to implement DevOps, it's going to be outdated in a couple of the months. So I really, and sometimes customers ask me, how somebody else has done it. Can you show me, is there some templates, how we can take the platform strategy from one customer and bring it to the second customer? Things like this don't exist. So because everybody is a little different. Everybody, nobody is building this on a green field. So everybody has some history, so they are bringing into this. So you always are dealing with your legacy things, and then on a side you are building something new. So, but you need to learn from it, and hopefully the new thing will grow fast, and then you can migrate it from the old stuff. So these are some common things that I have learned from building the platforms. Last thing I want to do is, what I want to say is actually when I started talking about DevOps to customers 10 years ago or a long time ago, for customers it was something new, and they were saying, this is nice to have, and maybe we will think about it, and so on. But this has changed, during last years. And now what I see for customers, it's a must-have. It's not a nice-to-have. So, but I still believe we are in the beginning. So we are, we still don't understand fully, of the impact. But I see that there is, the companies I'm working with, they are doing a great progress. But I believe they still have a long way to go. So, and this is, I'm super happy about it, that I see that something what I believe could be successful 10 years ago, and I see the implementations today. So, and I see that the companies really, appreciate the strategy, and they see the benefits out of it. So, this was a short presentation of something what I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoy it, and I will be here for questions if anybody wants to ask anything. Thank you.